CBS Sports HQ presented by AMC Plus. Stream the new season premiere of The Walking Dead right now. AMC Plus, only the good stuff. That's Amanda Guerra. I'm Chris Hassel. This is HQ. It is Wednesday. We usually give you the SEC Super Preview for our game of the week. We got two of them this week, Amanda.
What does that mean? What do we call it then?
Super duper preview.
I like it. I like it on a Wednesday here. Yes, we get the top team in the country, Alabama, taking on Texas A&M in College Station, and also one of the oldest rivalries in college football, Georgia at Auburn.
We have an SEC doubleheader on CBS this Saturday, beginning with number 2 Georgia traveling to Auburn to take on the 18th ranked Tigers. It's no secret how Kirby Smart and his dogs have been getting it done this season. They not only have the best defense in the country, they're on pace to be historically great. Through 5 games, they're allowing fewer than 5 points per game. And the 2 touchdowns they've given up both came in garbage time and a couple of blowouts. And while they haven't allowed a single point over the last 2 games, they can score in all 3 phases.
We block it in the end zone. Ball is bouncing. We're diving on it. We got it. Block punt. Touchdown Dogs.
But Auburn is feeling good about itself as well after beating LSU in Death Valley. Though head coach Brian Harsin knows this is a much different test, and his quarterback Bo Nix is going to need to play the game of his life in the Deep South's oldest rivalry.
In some trouble. Eludes one man. Now floats it out. He has a man open. Looks downfield. Still on his feet. Still on his feet to the end zone. Touchdown Auburn!
Auburn and Georgia have played each other since 1892. And it's a rivalry Georgia has owned of late, winning 13 of the last 16. But crazier things have happened.
A miracle in Jordan Hare! A miracle in Jordan Hare!
Auburn looking for some more of that magic, while Georgia just needs to keep doing what they've been doing. It's number 2 at number 18, Saturday afternoon, 3:30 on CBS.
And we are getting you ready for that doubleheader, the SEC on CBS this weekend, starting with Georgia at Auburn. And for that, we welcome in former great Georgia quarterback who will also be on the call for the game, the one and only Aaron Murray. Aaron, these 2 teams first played each other all the way back in 1892. You have been a part of this game. Just sort of give us the meaning behind it for the players and the fans.
Well, listen, I'm a kid that grew up in Florida, so I didn't know much about it, but I was welcomed into this rivalry pretty fast my freshman year. About how much hatred there is between the fan bases, the players, how tough the game is. I mean, my freshman year, I'm going to be real with you. I almost quit football after the game. Nick Fairley absolutely demolished me. Cam Newton ran all over us. It was a devastating loss. And I was like, holy smokes. One, college football is tough. It's physical. And this rivalry is absolutely incredible. And I had a chance to play in the game 4 times. Won the next 2 years. That 4th year, as you just had to show with the Hail Mary and me spiking my hat on the ground. It's a special rivalry. It really is. It's one of the best in college football. It's one of the best in the SEC. And, I know Georgia and Florida are up there as probably the favorite among Georgia fans. To me, this is my favorite rivalry. Both stadiums are incredible. Jordan Hare is going to be absolutely nuts this weekend. And the game means so much to both teams.
We appreciate the honesty there, and I'm sure those Georgia fans are glad you did not stop after that first game. Aaron, through 5 games so far, Georgia's defense is absolutely incredible. They have allowed 16 points. They are number 1 or close to number 1 in pretty much every category. Now, Kirby Smart says, look, we're not elite yet. We need to force more turnovers. But where would you rank this Bulldogs defense historically right now?
They're elite, and Kirby wants to keep his guys motivated, obviously, but the speed in which they play, the discipline, their ability to disguise blitzes and simulated pressure. So, at times Georgia's going to bring 1-2 linebackers, but they're also going to drop out defensive ends. So you think it's a pressure, but at the end of the day, they're only actually rushing 4 guys, and it's just amazing to watch the film. Everyone's in the right position. I go back to last week versus Arkansas. Play set up beautifully for a pitch to the right between the quarterback and running back, almost an option type play off the defensive end. Linebacker scrapes beautifully over top. Safety comes down. A play on paper, if you draw up on the board, should have been like a 4 or 5, maybe 10-yard gain. Ended up being right here, a negative play for Arkansas. The speed at which this defense plays, the discipline. I don't know where you go. Obviously, the front seven is the best in the country. Back end really hasn't been tested yet. I think that's what Auburn's going to have to do. Test the secondary in the game on Saturday.
Let's look at that Auburn side and talk about Bo Nix there. He has received a lot of criticism since he started playing, but we're seeing a lot of improvement from him. How much improvement are you seeing from him, especially in their last game against LSU?
Listen, I know there was a lot of, the kid has been through a lot since he's been there. Started at a high versus Oregon, his first game of his career, kind of been up and down. And this year, obviously, the benching 2 weeks ago versus Georgia State. And if you really go back and watch the film, I would say the majority of it was not Bo Nix's fault. Receivers were running very average routes. Offensive line could not get going in the run game. Tank Bigsby has been non-existent this past 2 weeks. He has had to put this offense on his shoulders. And we saw last week versus LSU, when he's allowed to be a playmaker, when he's allowed to be creative in the pocket, he's the magician back there. Very tough to bring down, accurate on the move. I don't want him to only go to this. That's my one worry with Bo Nix is now he saw the success he had versus LSU. I don't think you can do what he did running around in the backfield versus Georgia defense. I still want to make sure, and I know he's coached extremely well from Mike Bobo and Brian Harsin, to at least get through 2 or 3 progressions in his read. Go to number 1, go to 2, see if you can find your check down, and then be the creative magician that you are, what we saw versus LSU last year. At times during his career, he's too much of a one read and go type quarterback. If he can eliminate that, still get through the pocket, still get through his progressions, I think the upside's there. The potential's there. I just don't know if he is a supporting cast against this Georgia defense.
Let's talk about the quarterback on the Georgia side there. JT Daniels dealing with a lat injury right now. We saw Stetson Bennett come in for that game against Arkansas. They leaned heavily on their run game with him there. It is a possibility that we could see JT Daniels this weekend. You don't have a lot of confidence in that, though, right now. What's your feeling on what's going on with him?
Well, I'll know a little bit more. I'm about to head to practice actually here in a couple hours, so I'll see if he's throwing the football or not. But anytime you have a lat injury or any type of soft tissue injury, it takes time. And the more you push it, the longer it takes to heal. And, Georgia obviously has bigger games and bigger aspirations ahead of them. I think they feel very confident with their defense. I think they feel very confident with Stetson Bennett. So if you can heal JT, get him to 100%, why not sit him on the bench? Obviously, you lose a lot. You lose the ability to push the ball vertically down the field, something that Stetson does not do well. But Stetson has the ability to run. He's a great leader. Guys trust him. He knows where to go with the football. Protects it for the good majority of the time. Like I said, I just think you lose that dimension of throwing the ball down the field, post route, go balls, corners, things JT really showcased, especially during the game against South Carolina. But like I said, there is a confidence in the locker room with Stetson at quarterback. And right now, I think you rest JT, get him 100% for games against Florida, games against Kentucky, and at the end of the day, the most important game of the year, which it looks like it's going to be, game against Alabama in the SEC championship.
Taking that into consideration, if we could see Stetson Bennett and they decided to continue, like you said they should, to rest JT Daniels there. Georgia's still the big favorite on the road, 14.5. The total here is 46. How do you see this game unfolding, Aaron?
Ooh, to me, it reminds me a little bit of what happened in that Clemson game week 1. And you got a Georgia defense that is absolutely dominant, and Auburn offense that, quarterback wise, Bo hopefully gained some confidence, but he still has yet to run the football the past 2 weeks, have really struggled to get Tank going. Questionable receivers. Those guys really, can they get separation against the secondary? I love their tight end. He's leading their team right now in receptions. And then you look at Georgia offensively. Running the ball was great last week versus Arkansas, but that's a 3-3-5 defense. There was holes to do it and holes to beat them up a little bit. Can they push the ball vertically down the field? Can they be an offense that can run the ball and pass the ball against one of the better defenses in the SEC? Auburn is a top 5 defense in the SEC. So we're talking about 2 premier defenses, hostile environment there in Auburn, and 2 offenses that are still trying to work through some issues right now with injuries and then just with lack of skill, I would say, for Auburn. So I could see this being a low-scoring, dogfight, old-school type game. Like I said, very similar to what we saw week 1 between Georgia and Clemson. Maybe a little bit more scoring, but not a lot more.
Aaron, really quickly, before we let you go, Alabama's been number 1 this entire season. How fast is Georgia closing in on them, or are they even already?
I think they're even. I think these 2 teams are pretty much neck and neck at the moment, especially when you have a healthy JT. My question is, when Georgia plays Alabama, I think their defense can hold Alabama to somewhere in the 20s. I think they can hold Alabama to 23 to 27 points, which, facing Alabama offense, that is a really good day of work right there. My only worry is, can Georgia's offense muster enough to be able to score 30 points versus Alabama? That's still the question mark. They're maturing at the receiving spot. They're getting healthy at the quarterback spot. They're getting healthy at the tight end spot. Good to see Darnell Washington coming back here in the middle of the season. But right now, it's a flip of a coin. I don't know who wins it. Good thing we got about 5-6 more weeks to go to continue to figure out both these teams.
It'll be a lot of fun this weekend. Safe travels. Enjoy the game. Aaron Murray, thank you so much for joining us here on CBS Sports HQ. By the way, you guys tune in to the super duper doubleheader, the SEC on CBS this week, and you get Georgia at Auburn. Again, Aaron will be on that call. Our own Jenny Dell on the sideline there for that game, so make sure to tune in. Followed up with Alabama at Texas A&M. Alabama has not lost to A&M since the Aggies joined the SEC with Johnny Manziel.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.